And then once you figure out where you are, where that little "you are here" arrow is on the map, then you can figure out, how do I get my soul home from here? This is Mike from Catholic Treehouse, and I'd like to welcome you to the Saint in Progress podcast, your source for inspiration, information, and directions for your soul's journey back home to the Father's house. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and most importantly, share the show. As a reminder, your financial support is how we keep the lights on in the treehouse. You can support us by buying a book or rosary from our store, or by becoming a paid subscriber on Substack. You can find more information on all these things at saintinprogress.com or catholictreehouse.com. Let's get started. Hey everyone, this is Mike from Catholic Treehouse. Thanks for joining me for episode 1 of Saint in Progress. This is your follow-on to the Saint Challenge. And for those of you who are new, the Saint Challenge was something that I put out about 2 years ago, actually exactly 2 years ago. We launched it on All Saints Day in 2022. And then we came out with the book last year and we reran all the episodes, at least via email. We didn't rerun all the podcasts because there's really no reason to re-record everything, right? But some people stayed on as email subscribers because they really liked getting the daily Saint Challenge emails into their inbox. And we're going to continue to do that moving on into the future. If you haven't signed up for the daily Saint Challenge emails, you can still do that over at catholictreehouse.com. Just look for the Saint Challenge tab there on the menu and navigation, and you can sign up for the daily emails that way, or just pick up a copy of the book. The financial support, of course, helps keep the lights on here in the treehouse, right? So anyway, this is a whole new thing. Springtime is usually the time for new stuff, or maybe New Year's Day. Hey, I'm going to start something new. But I like starting on All Saints Day because when you look at the saints and you look at their feast days are typically the day on which they pass from this life to their eternal reward. All Saints Day is when we celebrate saints. It's something new. It is when we have the opportunity at the end of our life, if we die in a state of grace, if we die in friendship with God, we will be saints too. And it will begin a new chapter, an eternal chapter in our lives. So if we're all preparing for sainthood, could there be a better time of the year to start a new chapter, a new adventure, than on All Saints Day? I don't think so. And isn't this really an awesome time of the year anyways? I think it's probably one of my favorite times of the year. And there are many great memories that I have of growing up that are associated with this time of the year. Probably the most profound memory is this is the time of the year when my mom would can between 2 and 3 bushels of tomatoes. And I would come home from school and she would have already picked up all the tomatoes and been working on this all day. And I come home and every window in the house is fogged up because she's got all 4 burners of the stove running with the tomato canning process in different stages of production, right? And she would put up, like I said, between 2 and 3 bushels of tomatoes. I don't know how many quarts of tomato sauce that ended up making, but it was enough to line this pretty big shelf down in the basement with, I don't know how many quarts of tomato sauce, but it'd be enough to get us from October, November, all the way till the next summer. Man, the smell was just heavy in the air with that humidity of the tomato sauce. And then the other great thing about this time of the year is back home in Pittsburgh, it was time for Steelers football on Sundays. We get home from Mass and she start the sauce and she put in some fresh made sausage and it would just sit there and simmer all day. And then we watch the game and then dinner time, you got fresh sauce, fresh sausage. Just a great memory for me this time of the year. And, it's like my parents have passed on and even though I have family back in Pittsburgh, I still don't get home as often as I like, but I do miss the town. And I miss all the black and gold everywhere. And I miss the drive into town. It's like you come up 376 and you come down the hill from Green Tree and you can't see the city yet. Like most cities, you can see the city off in the distance and keeps getting closer. But Pittsburgh's not like that. You got this big hill and you got a tunnel going through it and you're coming down this other hill towards town and you go through this tunnel and you don't see anything. And then all of a sudden you go through the tunnels and you come out the other side, and it just opens up, and there's the city. The stadium's off on the left. You got the confluence of the Monongahela and the Allegheny that make the Ohio River, and there's a park right there. It's called Point State Park, and there's a fountain going. There's the Gateway Clipper and all the other boats going up and down the river. And you got the PPG building, very iconic. It just opens up. It's like a Christmas present. I love it every time you come through. Now, what I don't love is the traffic in Pittsburgh. That's kind of a pain in the butt, especially if you get stuck in some sort of detour, road closure, construction, something like that. It can be a nightmare. I mean, a real nightmare. Like there was this one time, and this was before cell phones had GPS and maps, and it could tell you when there's going to be construction traffic and reroute you and all the rest of that stuff. And I knew the way home. I'd been going that route from Ohio to back home to Pittsburgh for I don't know how many times. I didn't have to sit there and look at a map. I knew how to get home, right? So we come through the tunnels, we go across the bridge, we're going, up 376, and there's this one turn, like right about Oakland, and we just passed the Forbes Avenue exit. It's like the last exit, the last chance you have to bail off of this freeway if there's going to be any kind of construction traffic or anything else at the tunnels. And you can't see around this turn to know if there's any construction traffic out that way. So you don't know if you need to bail off or not. And we round the corner, and sure enough, we should have bailed off because we didn't know it, but the tunnels were closed that day. And so the traffic routes us, the detour routes us around through Oakland. It happened to also be the same weekend where it's back to school weekend, and you got all sorts of traffic and U-Hauls and all this stuff. And it's all residential and apartments, and it was just a nightmare. So after being stuck in the detour for an hour, I finally recognized where I was. And I mean, yeah, I grew up there in the town, but I didn't drive through all parts of town. I didn't know every square inch of the city, right? So this detour took me through areas of town that I'd never been in. So I didn't exactly know where I was. And again, I couldn't look it up on my phone. So at one point, about an hour in, I finally recognized, here's where I'm at. Here's where I need to go straight instead of making a right with all the rest of the detour traffic. And so we went straight, and then we got home in 10 minutes. So why am I telling you all this? Well, because everybody is from somewhere, right? Now, you might have moved around a lot. You might have grown up in the same house you're born in. It doesn't really matter. When I say think of your childhood home, there is one place that probably immediately just pops into your memory, right? You remember everything about it. You remember how it smells. You remember how it looks. You remember how to get there. You remember all the sounds associated with it. You remember everything about this place, this childhood home. So think about where that place is right now in your memory. Do you live close or do you live far away? Do you go back to visit often? Or do you say, I'll go back someday? Are you perfectly happy where you're at right now and have no desire to ever go back? Or maybe out of anger, you left and swore that you would never go back. Well, regardless what that situation is for you, let's say that right now you were going to go back to that place from your childhood that you think of whenever you think of my childhood home. Even if you swore you'd never go back there, think about where that place is and how you would get back to that spot. Now, some people are already close to that place. They might be able to walk there or take a bike. Other people might just be a car trip across town. Other people might be a couple days drive. Other people, you might have to fly to get there. But no matter where that home is, it has one address. Even if you live on a corner and you can kind of take the back way to get there, there's still one address that if you wanted to mail a letter or a package to that place, there's one number and one street, and that's your home. Well, your souls have a home too. The home that God made in heaven. And your souls, they want to go back there. And they're all meant to go back there. That's why God made them, to get home to Him, to return to his house. We're all made to go home to God's house and be saints. So right now, we are all saints in progress. Whether you're Catholic or you're a Protestant, whether you're a Jew or a Muslim or a Buddhist or a pagan, even the militant atheists are all saints in progress. The question is, how much progress are you making on being a saint? If we can compare the road home, going to that childhood home, with our soul's journey to get back home to the Father's house, well, the atheist obviously isn't making any progress on being a saint, because he doesn't believe there's even progress to be made. For everybody else, we're all at different points in the journey towards sainthood. Now, some people are on the wrong road entirely, and they're making negative progress. Some people want to make progress and think they know the way, but they're driving in circles and they're hopelessly lost. They drive a lot, but they're kind of stuck in the same area, the same spot, right? Now, some people are directionally correct, but they make a lot of wrong turns. They make some progress forward, some progress back. Some people are in a race to get home as fast as they can. Other people, well, they get tired a lot and just kind of sit down for a bit. Don't make any progress for a while. And then they might get up and they might walk a little bit more and then sit back down. And some people, well, there are some people who know the way home so well that they could get there, regardless of detours, closed roads, and everything else, blindfolded before the rest of us even get out of the driveway. So if being a saint is a matter of getting home to God, then being a saint is a matter of figuring out how. How do I get my soul home? It's about first figuring out, where am I now? And then once you figure out where you are, where that little "you are here" arrow is on the map, then you can figure out, how do I get my soul home from here? So this show is about that journey home. It's about dealing with detours and closed roads and roads that you definitely want to avoid. Neighborhoods you want to avoid, right? It's about getting off the wrong roads and onto the right one. It's about recognizing when you're lost and stopping to ask for directions. Sometimes it's about recognizing when you're stuck in detour traffic that you all of a sudden know the way home. And it's clear to you then. It's waiting for that moment where you know instinctively in your soul how to get home. And you immediately go straight instead of taking that right-hand turn. It's about your soul getting to the right address and driving up the driveway to God's mansion where He's waiting for you. So let's take that journey home together. This show is going to be a virtual spiritual road trip to our common home. And together we'll talk about right roads and wrong roads and bad neighborhoods and detours and construction. We'll stop to look at the sights, meet some interesting traveling companions, and hear their stories. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. The next one is going to be a great one. You're going to love it. It's going to change how you think about yourself. It's going to change how you think about other people. Most importantly, it's going to help you find that "you are here" arrow on the map, so you can start putting together that mental roadmap of how you're going to get home. So yeah, be sure to subscribe. Tell your friends about the show too, because they're saints in progress as well. And don't you want them on the journey with you? So head on over to saintinprogress.com, where you can find links to subscribe to the show, support the show on Substack. You can also pick up your copy of the Saint Challenge in print for yourself or as a gift. Christmas is right around the corner. You can also find Saint in Progress t-shirts in a variety of sizes and colors. Until next time, this is Mike from Catholic Treehouse reminding you, let's be saints.